Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. It's me. Now we're actually live, as long as we ignore the period of time where I was kind of live, but not really. And also, don't mind me, but just going to... I'm gonna futz with this stuff. Don't capture my cursor. Does this work? Hold on. Oh, look at that. Haha. So now you can't see my mouse anymore. Neat. So hello, hello. Welcome one, welcome all. We're back at it again with the game dev. Imagine that. Using a game engine to actually do game dev. No one's ever considered doing that before. Alright, we can turn down some of my other speakers. The brown noise generator. Be a lot quieter now. Anyways, we're going back to an idea that I had just a long while ago, which is basically, you know, it's not a new idea, but it's not a very commonly implemented idea in games, which is to say, you know, an RTS game, but it's not really an RTS. So it's at the scale of an RTS, but you don't have, I guess, you don't control the units at the scale of an RTS game. Oh, hello, hello, Needle Mouse. Hello. Welcome. Now I'm actually live. Hopefully the bot is not just spamming the stream notifications thing. Yeah, okay. That was a bug previously. It was that it would just spam the notifications. I'm not sure if the notifications are even working or not, or if it's just kind of like soft pinging. But either way, that's probably good enough for now. Pretty complicated stuff. Check this stuff out. Actually, what does a repo do in this one? Oh yeah, there's the bot. Say hello to the bot. So all the code is there. If you were to just grab it and deploy it for yourself, then you would be shouting out my stream constantly, since some of the values are still hard-coded. Actually, you won't be able to even run the bot if you don't do a bit of configuration anyways. Since it relies on environment variables in order to work. Yeah, so what we're working on today is an old idea. I've actually already open sourced the old code for it. Let me see if I can find it. That open source code is more or less fairly functional, I guess. Let me see. It's this stuff here. So this is what I was working on the stream for a long while. Way back in the day. And by way back in the day, I mean like a year ago. So, eating Chinese food right now. Nice. I'm assuming it's a Chinese takeout. Very good. Chinese takeout. Nice comfort food. It's very American Chinese though. It's a bit too sweet. I can only eat Chinese, American Chinese food if I'm like just absolutely plastered. In which case then it tastes amazing. Or I guess if I don't know, like leftover American Chinese is pretty good as well. Leftovers, not too bad. Anything else, I'd rather not. Yeah, we're starting anew. I do have a reference point for a lot of this stuff already, so I can skip a lot of the, I guess the hard part, right? Because I'll be copy and pasting a lot, or I guess not even copy and pasting, but like referencing a lot of my old code, which if you go through a bit of mental gymnastics, is pretty much just copy and paste. You know, so it goes sometimes, so it goes. Probably on Thursday, yeah, Dairy Queen Blizzards. Dairy Queen? It's been a while since I've been to Dairy Queen. I think the last time I went to Dairy Queen was, when was the last time I went to Dairy Queen? I'm trying to think. When was the last time I went to Dairy Queen? Probably when I was still in university. Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah, the Blizzards, not too bad, but their chicken strips though, now that was the good stuff. That was the good stuff. Why was it the good stuff? I don't know, but I remember them being a lot better than like any other chicken strips you could possibly get at a fast food place. Yeah, their chicken strips, along with their what do you call them? Blizzards, yeah. Yeah, and they do the turn it upside down thing, which is cool, I guess. Always made me a little nervous, but whatever. It's part of the job, I guess. Alright, so -1, and now we'll just scale this up by a lot. So that'll be X scale, probably like 1000. Call this 1000. And there we go. Now we just have a really nice infinite plane, more or less. And this will be our test screen. Everyone loves a good test screen. Let me see. Godot. There are some better Godot default environment settings. Yeah, improve default 3D lighting in world environments. So I always go through this kind of sheet to go to set up my environments. Yeah, because a big complaint was that the default Godot environment is pretty ugly, which I think if you don't know what a good environment looks like, it looks okay, but once you switch to this better one, it looks a lot better. So that's what we're gonna do. We go to, let me see, it's ambient light, color, just 50, so that's 128, all across the board. Energy 3, sky contribution 0.3. Tone map, probably just want filmic, right? Yeah. Tone map. Where is tone map? Hey. Is it in procedural sky? No. Tone map, there we go. Hit him with a filmic. Now it's very bright. And now this doesn't actually look that great anymore. What if we just turn the energy down to 1? There we go. Let's see, procedural sky. Sky, grab these values from the linked issue, just copy and paste the values in. So it looks a bit more natural. And then the curve needs to be 0.13. Looks pretty bad, looking pretty bad. But I think that this is actually the color of the material, I think. So there's a ground as well. Not really gonna do anything to it though. Besides, grab these values. I guess just substitutes these in for the ground. So we don't really have a ground anymore. We just have like a big blue space. Look at that. Amazing. Sun, latitude 50. So it's right above you. Energy 30. It's pretty bright. That's pretty bright. Okay. Look at that. Default scene, default ENV, and then I can copy this over. And so, there we go. Easy. Let's go into the camera stuff. So, and also import some placeholder assets. There's really only the one placeholder asset, which is this thing here. So basically like pixel asset. Very easy though, very easy to make, load in. The idea is we'll still be using, well, all the little tiny units, like all the foot infantry will just be sprites. Just make it easy on me. And then we'll have mechs. I think that'd be cool. And that's pretty much the idea, is that you control a small amount of units, and then they can control mechs and or vehicles to fight a much bigger force who may or may not also have mechs and or vehicles. So that'll be cool. Maybe. We'll see if I can make it cool. Alright, unpin. Deployment gacha. Slap this into here. Call this probably just the units. Look at that. Placeholder import as. My school is doing a fundraiser, gonna sell almond covered chocolates. Isn't that dangerous? If a person is allergic to almonds and or chocolates. Maybe I'm just being weird about it. Who knows? Almond covered wait. Not chocolate covered almonds, but almond covered chocolates? That's a bit more expensive than just dipping almonds in chocolate, I guess. Hey, you know, you can sell a lot. All the more power to you. I used to do all that kind of placeholder stuff as well. Alright, so this looks bad. Did this re-import? Okay, so I just didn't re-import. 2D pixel, re-import. Set as default. meant the other way around. Chocolate covered almonds. He's done it. I've successfully parsed what you were trying to say. How is he so good? He cannot be stopped. Alright, so this is our collision shape. Let's rotate it by... that looks okay. I think the hard part about this is that you need to remember that because it's facing you, and because it's a game, you'll actually be looking over the shoulder in a lot of cases. Alright, so let's make it real small. Yes. Look at that. We're like this, man. We're connected. Connected by the brainstem. You don't even need to type coherent sentences, and I'll know. How is this possible? 8. And I'll tell you how it's possible, because that's actually more or less my job, so I'm very used to having to decipher things that don't really make sense. Be like, oh, did you mean this? Yeah, I did. Why are you confirming it? Oh, I wasn't confirming it. Sorry. We're just getting it on the books, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, what kind of want to get Doom clone hacks? Like an old school Doom? It's not too hard. It's not hard, right? It's just the... You need to figure out the draw layers properly, right? So you don't want to actually have your weapon sprite be an actual object. You want it to draw on like this 2D layer in front of the camera. And that's really it, yeah. Then billboarding sprites is really easy in most circumstances. At least it's really easy in Godot and Unity, I know that. Yeah. You know, I mean, you know, go for it. If you can do it, that's actually a fairly easy thing to do. Yeah, I know. This kind of thing is known. All right, so now we're billboarding. So this is Doom style billboard, and then what this should do is actually follow you, or I guess dynamically update the sprites based on the object's position to the camera. And this will also help me out in my other game endeavors as well. Let's see. We'll call this one base. You know, we're doing this all in GDScript as well. Because I'm envisioning this to be pretty easy. Why is there a source folder? Alright, so we'll call this like infantry. And then we can split this up between like player units and enemy units, I guess. So player units will have a different set of scripts, so I have to be somewhat careful here. If I can do 3D like backgrounds for a Doom clone, I can possibly make a looping 3D like background. What do you mean a looping 3D like background? What does that mean? Do you mean that you're going to... A looping 3D like background. What does that mean? I'm not sure what that means. So if you construct everything with... Are you talking about like making the textures animated textures? Is that what you're saying? Or are you saying that you want the entire skybox to be animated, which is also something you can do, I believe. I actually don't know how hard that is to do. I feel like it's easy to have an animated skybox, but I'm not sure. Let's see. Let's do all of this stuff. So this is, we'll have a physics process. Now this is where I'm going to start referencing my old code, because I know that stuff worked well. So this is our player scene controller. So my old code, this is actually private. I can open source this actually. It doesn't really matter. Like code images, moving and make it look like it's 3D. So what you're describing is you want to do something like Wolfenstein. So Wolfenstein was a ray tracer. So it wasn't Wolfenstein 3D wasn't actually 3D. It was a 2D game. But it used ray tracing. So spoilers, ray tracing isn't a new technology, but it only ray traced from one point, whereas modern ray tracing, I believe, ray traces from every point of light in the scene, which is crazy. So Wolfenstein just fires off a ray, a point ray, from your camera to a 2D. It's a 2D representation. So Wolfenstein 3D was basically a top-down game. You can imagine that. And then the ray tracer just scans the area that your camera would see, and then renders something that looks like it's 3D. Yeah. Or are you saying something like this, right? So you have an image, and then you can shift around the texture like this. So if I jump between all these poses, it makes it look like it's 3D. Right? So you have your facing right, facing east, northeast, north, northwest, west. Are you talking about that? Where you just kind of flip between different sprites? Which is what I'm doing. Let's see, this will be idle. Right, this will be kind of painful. And by kind of painful, I mean very painful. So this needs to be... It's one of these. Boom. And then... Alright. So 0.5. Yeah. Alright, so I threw out 2 suggestions. So I'm not sure which one you're saying yeah to, but... I'm glad I have your approval. Duplicate. So this is gonna take a while. This is idle, north, east, and then this other one needs to be renamed to idle, east. Yeah, well, well, which is it? Boom, duplicates. This is idle north. I wish there was a less painful way of doing this. I've purposely left off just more spaces on the sprite sheet just so I can do other animations as well, just in case I need them. Just a single angle, like moving forward, left, right, depending on what's happening. Yeah, so that's basically what I'm doing, right? It doesn't... The idea is the same, right? So this is called a billboarded sprite, so it always looks at you. So it doesn't matter if your camera is moving or not. It does help to, I guess, simplify the logic. But once you have the logic down, it's all pretty much the same. You know, that's what I'm saying, is that you need to actually make something, and then you'll see how easy a lot of this is actually. Or I guess not how easy it is, but how much of the logic actually carries over from thing to thing. So once you figure it out once, you kind of figured it out in most circumstances. It's all the same. It's not complicated. It's just a lot of work, unfortunately. Middle, south, west. Yeah, that is almost exactly what I was describing. And also one of my favorite series of games that I was playing on stream, they also do that same methodology, that same technique of, it's a 3D game, but they use sprites for all the characters, and then the camera, it's fixed so it doesn't move, right? And then they just kind of flip between all the sprites. So if you like study those sprite sheets, you should have a pretty good idea how to make that work. Idle southeast. Right. I'm gonna go into doing the moving background thing right now, just the dream that's far away. Moving background, well, I don't really understand what the moving background is. I think it's already been done several times before. It's not too hard to do, right? Because you can animate a texture, right? Or you can shift a texture on something, right? Like that's how the duck worked actually for this program. That is not hard. Right, so if you look at this, we go into, not this one, the duck eyes. Like this is just a moving texture. So we go to UV1, and you can see here that we, you know, this is all it is. Look at this, wow, it's a moving texture, animated texture. So if you're doing a moving background, you would probably want to do something like this, where you just kind of manipulate the UV, and then just kind of scroll it like that, right? Like either way, you know, working in 3D is, we're talking about textures, where a sprite is a part of a texture, right? The methodology is more or less the same. It's just what the program exposes to you. I don't think Haxel, Flixel, or pretty much any of the other engines give you, well, I can't say that. I've never really investigated 3D and any of those things, right? I don't know what things they give you, but I know that Godot gives you access to the UV1 and UV2 just coordinates, so you can just kind of mess with them however you want, which is nice. Alright, so this is how this guy looks now, right? Look at that. So when you zoom in far away, this is what they look like. I guess it's probably going to be at this angle, right? So very high up. We'll just cycle through all the animations. So idle east, idle north, idle northeast. And so the idea is when you cycle around, the sprite will automatically update. That's very simple. It's very simple. Give that a save. Stop this. We'll need a camera. And we can also just drop this unit into here. So let's have a node so we can just make it really easy to manage everything. Spatial, so we'll have, no. This is entities, I suppose units, whatever you want, right? We'll just drop in one of these. So base unit doesn't do anything. It's also very tiny, very small. Also, I can't move it. That was weird. Okay. So there you have it. We'll also have, I guess, a camera, right? We'll need to have a camera, so we'll call it camera, boom. This is the camera. We'll leave all of it, we'll keep it all as the default. Actually, no, you don't want to just have a camera. What you want to have is a camera, where you want to have a spatial with a camera. Hold on. So if you have a camera, how many pivot points do you need? So I just need to be able to yaw, which is to say like turn left and turn right. I don't want to be able to pitch up or down, and I definitely do not want to be able to roll. So yeah, I really only need to yaw and maybe pitch up and down. Okay, so this is the game camera. Then this will be we'll have another spatial, right? Spatial, and then this will be the pitch. And then we'll have the actual camera. And so the reason why I do this is because it's just a lot simpler to manage. It's just a lot simpler in general to manage the rotations, right? Because as long as I never ever rotate the game camera and instead just use the game camera to move things around, you can think of it like a camera dolly, a camera mount, right? Because when you rotate something, right? If you rotate yourself, rotate yourself to the right, and I say like move left, your left is now different from my left, or from the left that you used to have. Which is why this pattern is nice to implement. Let's see. Entities. Game camera isn't really an entity, so we'll just kind of add it straight to the scene. Oh, I didn't have my nap today, so I'm feeling a little low energy, like an old man. Alright, hold on. Game camera. I think we do want to... This is the pitch, so we do want to pre-pitch it, like here, right? Something like that. Something like that. Yeah. So we'll load this in as the current thing. Don't actually have the camera loaded in as the default camera just yet. Set as current. Set the FOV to like 80. Maybe 85. 85. 90 FOV is actually a bit too intense for me. That's just my preference for FOV. I don't know if that's weird or not. All right. So that looks about as I'm expecting. We can get it even closer to it, I guess. Let's go into window. We can make this 1600. Just missing all the keys. 1600 by 900. This is 3D, so we don't want to mess with any of the rendering options either. All right, cool. So this is your unit. Pretty tiny. Move it up a bit, and then we'll also have just, I guess, other units. Like if we go into Blender, I can rig up a tank really quick. Let's rig up a tank really quick. Why not? I do dislike how Blender always opens up on my bottom monitor. It does make sense that it tries to open up on my bottom monitor, because my bottom monitor is actually just a drawing tablet. All right. Nope. Let's do. Just give me a cube. Give me a cube. Everyone loves cubes. So what does a tank look like? That's not the button. I just pressed E for no reason. What did I do? All right, bring me back. No. Bring me back. Okay. So scale this on the y-axis. Something like that. How does that look? That's why I like to have both windows open. It's because it's easy to tell at a distance. It's kind of like the Photoshop thing, right? Where you keep a separate window open with a view of your entire piece, while on your main work window you have your, you're zoomed in, doing some details or whatnot. I know workflows. Sometimes. Not very good at them. Alright, that's like roughly tank size. It's kind of wide. Could make it a bit smaller. That looks about right. I don't know, just completely eyeballing it. I don't have any of the plugins I used to have though, so it's a bit disappointing. Well, this is gonna be very simple anyways. So let's loop cut it a few times. I think I can just loop cut it like this, right? And then I can loop cut it 1, 2, 3, maybe. Actually, no, this is okay, right? That's okay. And then we can loop cut it sideways. That's centered, and then we'll loop cut it 1, 2. I think that's okay. Yeah, okay. That's okay. So let's grab all of these. Extrude up. Just a little bit. And then extrude up again. That's not extrude, this is extrude. What am I doing? What did I do? Extrude region and move, excuse me? Extrude, all right. Turns out I don't know what I'm doing. All right, that's like roughly turret size. It's gonna be kind of a pain to actually stick the turret into this, but I can just make that a different mesh for now. I don't know, that's pretty much what tanks look like, right? Yeah. Make it bigger, make it smaller. Make it smaller. Yeah, it's a future tank. You wouldn't understand. You can also bevel these in. Look at that sloped armor. It's beautiful. He's done it. I think if I do this, right? Can I just merge all these faces as well, and then I can inset them? Or I can just inset the, well, I can merge these. How do you do that? Is it just merge? Weld edges into faces? No. How do you do it? Solidify, fill. I wish I knew more. I don't know, give me a merge. Merge. How do you merge faces? Blender. Merge faces. How to merge dissolve two faces. Yes. I think what you're looking for is the F key. The F key. Oh. No. That's how that works. That makes sense. I knew you could use the F key for creating a new edge, but you know what? That makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, so we'll inset slightly. Is that how a tank works? I'm looking at it again. I'm thinking, wait a minute. That's not actually how that works, right? I think tanks are actually more of a skirt, aren't they? So if you select all of them, then inset a little bit, and then go into it a little bit. Ooh. Oh no, hold on. That's not good. Now I've broken the normals. Inset a lot. Go in. Yeah, there we go. So it still compares to the human being, the human reference. So this block over here is the reference model. So it is, I forget how big the cube is. How big is the cube? Cube is, oh, the cube is really big actually. What the heck? Really? The cube is 9 meters long, or 3.4 meters tall. That's pretty big. It's a big cube. It is a big cube. Put it up, put it down. Get ribbed. For whose pleasure? How are you doing, Philippe? For hours? Nice. I'm assuming neither of us are using the ribbedness. I bet you'll feel even better. I bet you'll be doing even better after you get that ribbon you. The McRib. Ronald's meaty McRib. What are we talking about again? You know what? I don't really feel like making tracks. So what we're going to do instead is just do this. Not apply. We'll do Shift A, cube, Alright. So can't I do this? So we'll make it really long on the y-axis. Not that long. About yay long. Some Ronald guy. Oh baby. Who doesn't like Ronald? Ronald's meaty surprise. Alright, so I can do this, right? We go move this over on the X. I'm kind of cheating, because this is just a mock-up. Really quick. So this is a tank, clearly. And then we go to, where are my modifiers? Modifier, mirror. Is this not how that works? Mirror object. Cube. Cube 1. Yes. He's done it. Long John. Ronald loves French fries and diabetes. I haven't had McDonald's in a little while, but you know what? McDonald's, not too bad. Not too bad. Where else are you going to get a hamburger for $1 in the US? Train tracks? Oh yeah. Look at these. These are 100% definitely tracks. I do need to mess with this rep. So that, like how, is this like reasonably sized? I guess it is reasonably sized. Yeah, because if we go back to here, oh, you can't even see it anymore. If we go back to here, this is how big the people are. So I'm trying to keep it to the same scale. That's what I've been trying to do recently. Just learn how to do 3D modeling a bit faster. And better, but mostly faster. It's not going well. We can have a cylinder. How many vertices? Like none. As few vertices as possible. So give me 6. 6 is good. Go up, rotate over the x-axis, just 90 degrees. Push it this way. Look at that chonky turret. I think I'm just gonna keep the meshes separate as well. Yeah, it's not very clean, but it's easy to replace. So make this long and then shrink it. Yeah, that's more or less it. Make it longer again. Is that a tank barrel in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me? Alright, it's beautiful. I've never seen anything better. Delete. Alright, have a material. Oh, and then also don't forget to apply the modifier, otherwise it won't export correctly. Apply. Look at that. Alright, so materials. I have material 1. We'll just mess with the base color. What color are tracks or treads? Roughly this color, right? Yeah, look at that. Got a nasty little upskirt shot there. I don't know. Gray? Are tanks gray? Let's give it a color so I just know that it's different. Green? Like a grayish green? I don't know. Yeah, it looks okay. And then let's make the barrel like a gray. Brown. It's beautiful. Alright. So save that. Let's go to... Where is it? Dev. I need to add this to my favorites. Add bookmark. Dev. Yes. Deployment gacha. Assets. So these are... I guess I'll just have them in the folder where they'll actually reside. So vehicles, or non-infantry, I suppose. So vehicles, and then this will be, I don't know, tank. That's a tank. All right, and then we can actually rename this. So this is the chassis. chassis. These are the treads. How do you rename? Treads. And then the cylinder is the barrel, I guess. You know what? I have made a huge mistake. Hold on. So the chassis, I actually need to go into edit mode, grab all of the chassis parts. Also, look at the wireframe. Yeah, okay, so I made a mistake already. That's tough. So the idea was that I would rig this so it would have bones, not in the traditional sense. Oh no, okay. So we need to go back to this. This is, okay, so bear with me. This is gonna look a bit bad for a little bit. Up. No. And then this needs to be, wait. Which thing needs to be big here? Is it this part? This part needs to be big. No. Yes. Like this part just needs to be bigger, right? And then we also shrink it. And then we can make it slightly smaller again. And then here, make this smaller. Yeah, there we go. And so we still have this little part in between. Okay, no, we can still rig that, yeah. It's a little harder to rig since there's a turret that's actually attached to the chassis. Let me see. I can actually probably split these. How do I... What's an easy way to split? Something like that. Or it's fine. They'll just be attached. So okay, let me see if I can remember how to do this though. So we go into object mode, armature, new armature, armature. Okay. Bones. I'm trying to remember. Viewport display. No. Viewport display. Armature. Viewport display. Show in front. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay, so move this down. Usually you would want your base skeleton to be at the base of it, but I'm not really sure where the base of a tank would be, so we'll just call it like right here. Or actually even farther under it. Right. Roughly. Or maybe I can rig this like a person. Tanks are people too, more or less. So go back here, rotates, assume the position. Hold on, that was wrong. Did I move this incorrectly? Is this already slightly skewed? Am I dumb? No. All right, rotates on the x-axis. 90 degrees, 90, and then just very gently insert it back into the tank. And there you have it. It's as easy as that. Now, I think we just want to extrude out on the y-axis. Wasn't really paying attention, but that looks okay. That's like the chassis. Extrude up on the z-axis. That's our turret. No, this is the neck. The neck won't really have any movement assigned to it, and then we'll have the turret. It's beautiful. He's done it. That's pretty much it. So it's pretty much just going to be this bone that moves. This bone just provides the pivot points between the turret and the rest of the tank. This is the main body, and then I don't know. This is the handle. Phenomenal. So this is turret. This is, I don't know, the neck. Tanks don't really have necks, but that's okay. Body. And then this is This is the root bone. There we go. So here's the part I always get mixed up. So you go here, press Control P. Was it this way? Control P. Automatic weights, yes. So that was, click on the mesh, then the skeleton, then press Control. Yeah, automatic weights. Hold on, I messed that up. So mesh, 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 this thing. Click on this, automatic weights. Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. So now we can click on our skeleton. Now we're in pose, and then, oh no. Oh no. Something feels very, very off about this. Hard to say what though. So we rotate. So what should be happening is only the turret rotates. So that's cool. So we'll need to go into, we'll need to go into weight painting mode. How do I go into weight painting mode? Is it Control Shift tab? No. How do I go into weight painting mode? Is it this one? This? No. Weight paint. Okay. So, chassis, barrel. No, I need to click on the bones. How do I know which bone I'm clicking on right now? I always forget. Okay, so it's just based off the vertex group. So this is the chassis. Chassis includes pretty much everything except for the barrel and the treads. Make it bigger. Was it control? Was this the weight? Yeah, okay. Should just be careful. There's not enough vertices to effectively weight paint, but I'll do my best. Alright, it's starting to fail. Control F. Yeah, maybe I should just make these separate objects, and I'll make it way easier. Yeah, you know what? Let's unparent them. It's not hard to just delete that part of the mesh. Although I didn't want to spend too much time on this. Please. Can't I do this? Yeah, okay, so if I select all of these. Weight 0, okay. So I can just paint like this. I forgot that you could do that. Let's see, anything else that shouldn't have it? This one. Pretty much everything, right? Just hit everything with a 0 weight paint, and then we'll just weight paint by, I think you can select by doing Control C, which ones you want to select. So if you unselect all, then you can Control C and select. Yeah. There we go. So let's grab the underside of the turret. Yeah, okay. Weight paint 100. There we go. It's kind of jank, but it's okay. Can I paint like this as well? Still hard considering just redoing this really quickly. This has been an abject failure so far. Alright, I think that's okay. You know what? Let's get out of here. Object mode. Select all of these things. Then we'll do parents, and then you can unparent from here. Clear parent. Clear parents. So now These still have vertex groups, so that's okay. Chassis. So this one I need to split this into a new object. How do you do that? Blender, split, mesh, split object, split mesh into parts. Yes. Press enter edit mode, press P by selection. Oh, phenomenal. All right, cool. So now we just have some loose bits. That's okay. So we go into here, focus. Now we just have like an empty, whatever the heck this is. So just very carefully, select all of these, ring, make that just a coherent piece, and then we'll just kind of extend that up into the turret. And then the chassis, get me out of the focus mode, the chassis 1. So this is the turret, right? Turret, focus on this. You need to fill in that hole here. So fill it. There we go. That's pretty much it. Yeah. Why was I making so much of a fuss about this? I'm getting cold, by the way. Okay. So now we need to grab all of these, then click on. Oh, hold on. Grab all of these. Click on Armature. I think it's a Control P. Automatic weights. That's probably okay. Pose. Give me the pose. So, no. Okay. At least this is slightly easier now. So we can click on. Why can't I click on anything in here? Oh, I'm still in pose mode. So weight paint. Let me see. We can just clear. Whoa. Yeah, I think I can clear most of the weights, right? Probably. At least this makes it really easy for me to do this. But I don't think I need most of these weights. So most of these are like, yeah. So I only care about, don't care about turrets, so we don't listen to that. Neck? Alright, actually, what did, neck? No. Well, bring me back. Well, maybe a little. Actually, no. Even when the neck bone moves, it shouldn't do anything, right? The neck bone is just there to provide a pivot point for the turret. Otherwise, the tank doesn't move. Or the tank doesn't really respond to anything other than the body, right? Yeah, so let's get rid of the neck. The neck is just a pivot. Roots is also just a pivot. I kind of messed up here. So what I should have done before assigning it was go into here, go to edit. So the root bone should not have, should not deform. Yeah. I think it's a little too late for that. Go back to here, go to weight paints. Which one am I still selected on? Send me. Where are they? Alright, so root. No root. It's really just this one. Oh, whoops. Oh, thank you, anonymous chatter, for the follow, by the way. Hope you understand I don't. To protect your privacy, I will not mention your name. Alright, back to object mode. Go to the turret. Send me into weight paints. Let's see. You only care about, you don't care about neck. You don't care about roots or body. You only care about turret. Focus. Look at that. And then, let's see. this should also follow turret exactly, I think. Yeah, so no root, no body, no neck. Sounds like your average American, am I right? That doesn't actually make too much sense. Taken in full context, that statement makes no sense. But if you just listen to the last part, no neck, yeah, it could be funny. I'm trying here. Wait, paint these as well. So turret, or turret, no. Neck, no. Root, no. It's just the body. And even then, even if the body moves a little bit, it doesn't really make too much of a difference. Yeah. I don't know. I think that's fine. Actually, no. Let's go back. Send me back. Give me body and neck. So these should be roughly, call it 65. We'll call it a bit higher than 65. One of these, right? One of these. And then neck, tiny bit of influence. It might be interesting though. So if you're, even though you definitely cannot see the treads, I don't know, could be cool. All right, and there you have it. Yeah. Click on that. Go to pose mode. Click on this. Rotates. Wow. So this should almost never rotate up or down like that. Could add another bone so the turret can actually aim up and down as well. Or I guess the barrel can actually aim up and down as well, because I believe on real life tanks, the barrel does not shift up and down. I believe that's not how they work, but it's okay. We can still modify it a little bit. We can extrude out. Oh no, what the heck? Double? Undo me. Are there 2 bones in here? Alright, extrude out. That's not extrude. Extrude out. This is on the y-axis. This is our barrel. Let's make it a big chonker. Like so. Then we can go into weight painting. And then that makes it a bit tough. Let's see, this is barrel. Right. Go out. Start weight painting. So, turret, group. Don't know how to do this. How do you assign a new bone after you've already assigned weights? There must be a way to do that, right? So if I go into object mode, hold on. Vertex groups, assign. We'll call this, I don't know, we'll call it, we can figure this out. Barrel. Assign. Let me see. Does this bone, can I assign a vertex group to it? It's connected, yeah. Armature, no. Bone groups, no. Motion paths, no. Let's see. Let's Google it. Blender. Assign weights. Assign automatic weights. Why not? How do you do this? Automatically generate vertex groups from an armature. First select the mesh, Control P, armature deform. No! I mean, we can try to do that again, hope it doesn't break anything. It doesn't really matter since it's so easy to do this. Do it this way. Then the armature. Control P. Automatic weights. Sure. So what does it look like now? Send me here. Weight painting. What do you got? So this is like almost 100% on the barrel. And then the barrel is parented to every other thing, so that's probably okay. What does this look like? Yeah, that's okay. We can take up the turret as well. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. So we click on this, go into pose mode. So barrel moves up and down independently, but also we can move the turrets. Looks very natural. Yes, this is exactly how I imagine a tank turret working. And also because of how I adjusted the pivot, right? So this is a more or less useless bone, but it is useful for having a pivot point. Neat. And that's pretty much all I know about 3D modeling, really. I know how to do textures, but we're not doing textures. Textures are for nerds. Like myself, but you know. Do be like that sometimes. Tank.glb, send it. Alright, so we re-import everything. We'll have... Yeah, let's just, what is source? Yeah. It's weird that there's a source folder here, but I don't have any source thing. Alright, import the tank. There we go. It's beautiful. Have you seen anything better than this? There's the tank. Beautiful. It has an armature as well. So, pretty much halfway there. We're pretty much done with the entire game, if you ask me. It's a vehicle. That's not how you spell vehicles. Vehicles. Infantry. Is infantry... Infantry is already plural. Interesting. Say goodbye to vehicle. Say hello to vehicles. And then tank. There is your tank. Yeah. So we won't add a script to that just yet, but we're just slapping it into this scene for testing. So there's a tank. It's pretty big. Not gonna lie, it's pretty big. Compared to how big the other unit is. So if you move the tank around, look at that. It's a kind of a chonker. Kind of a chonker. Also, yeah, it's also sitting through the ground, which is yeah, unexpected. Let's do this. So we have an armature node. I feel like you're actually supposed to rename the armature in Blender, but I just don't. Let's see, scale. Let's do it like a third scale. Just keep it like that. This doesn't look right. Why did this scale down so poorly? Oh, it's because the armature is back there. Okay, send me back. We'll just scale you instead. So why did I do that? I did that because I'm an idiot. That's okay. Make the tank a lot smaller. Did this become a lot smaller or no? I feel like it's still pretty big. Tank. Okay. I mean, it's still really big. Still really big, huh? Still really, really big. Let's make this 0.15. And of course, reset this. Excuse me? Delete the node. Tank. Yeah, okay. That looks a bit... It's still pretty big. Not gonna lie. That's not how big tanks are. You're not supposed to be able to walk in a tank, I guess. So, tank 0.1, 0.1, 0.1. Should be doing it in this screen actually, because I have the real reference right there. That's fine. That's okay. The turret's actually too small at this point, because you are supposed to be able to kind of sit in the turret. So, actually, yeah, you can definitely sit in the turret. It's too small. The pivot point's too small, but we'll ignore that for now. All right, and then we can also change this into Kinematic Body. Hooray. So this will be a collision shape. We'll give you, what should it be? I was gonna give it a capsule shape, but that would be horrendous. Just a box shape. So how big is this? I don't know. Let's see, how big is this? Roughly yay big. This far across. This, yeah, something like that. Yeah. And then we can move it up a little bit. Beautiful. I know there's a button to go to side view, but I refuse to use it. Alright, there's your tank. Phenomenal. So that's your tank, and then I should have a script that basically extends from base vehicle, but I'm not. Let's call this tank. Okay, so in test screen, you'll have your units, and then you'll have your vehicles. They're both on pretty much the same level, but the units are all sprites because, you know, units are supposed to be pretty small. Focus is still actually on the units, but I guess you can more think of vehicles as being mobile cover as opposed to units you would really control all too often. So let's see. Let's go into here. Player scene controller. Alright, so this is something else we need. Kind of hard to tell where the camera is if I don't have it selected. So that's your camera. So game camera. Let's go here. Yeah, let's do this, right? We'll go into creates. This will be class name. Game camera. All right. And now this is where I'm going to start copying some code. So I wrote this a while ago. So tactics and such, it's a private repo because I wanted to go back to it, but I didn't. But it was a more or less functional demo of a 3D RTS in Godot. So it had all the camera controls and all that. It was pretty nifty, but I didn't really understand what I was doing at the time. So like, you know, a lot of things were not structured very well. So what better time to rewrite than now, after I've gained a bit of knowledge about 3D, at least working in 3D, you know? So we have var selected objects, some sort of array. This selection start position, yeah. Probably want that as well. Which is a vector 2, 0. Let's see. Oh, and then I need to set the masks for things that are selectable or things that are ground, right? Because you don't want to be able to select the ground, or you want to be able to filter out the ground, right? So for all these units, they need to have not an input mask, a collision layer. So selectables, we'll put selectables on I don't know actually. What should selectables be on? I suppose selectables should be on 2, right? So 2 is just like entities. So you should be able to select entities, and then we'll just filter out later the specifics. I think that makes sense. Collision. So the ground layer is always going to be 1. Anything that's not the ground is 2. Yeah. Const. So we'll go to selectable object mask. Int. That was 2, I think. Ray length. Okay, so we do want to avoid, or we just need like a ray to shoot out. So when we're doing unit selection, what we're actually doing is that we're shooting a ray cast. You might have heard of it. From the camera to the environment, and then we'll see what we do. Oh, well, I guess we'll see where we're at after that, right? Yeah. So a lot of these are like selectable stuff. So min multi-select distance, that's also a good one. I guess if you want to see what I'm actually looking at, I can open source this repository if you would like, but if there's no demand for it, I'll just keep it closed. I'll just keep it closed. Since the code is pretty bad as well. Equals 1000. One of these. Or actually, you know what? Let's roll a coin, and then this way I can also show off the new bot I've been working on. Check this out. So, one, the bot does work inside of Twitch and Discord now, so they are linked. But then also just have commands like this. Hopefully this doesn't break. This might break. Roll the 1. All right, hold on. Can I roll a 2 at any point? Roll 2. What are the chances? I'm just now realizing, oh, no, that's fine. So roll 1 or 2. So it's actually rolling 0 or 1, and I'm just adjusting it by 1. Yeah, because it's the way the Golang, it's not written in Godot, it's written in Golang. So the way that the built-in random function works is it gives you a value from 0 to whatever number you input, non-inclusive. So includes the starting number, not includes the ending number. Anyways, let's see. Should I open source it? 1 is heads, 2 is tails. We'll call tails. Alright, we'll open source it. It's not a very good repository anyways, so it's okay. Wasn't going to be building anything with this anytime soon. Nope, I just tried to make it private. Let's make it public. Make it public. Send me. Yeah, there we go. So this is what I'm looking at right now. If you would like to steal the code for yourself. The code is bad. Would not recommend it. But might be nice as a reference. I think it should still run on the current Godot version as well. So what we're doing is we're getting the global get. Hold on. Get. Can you not get the global mouse position from here? Alright, so you need to use the viewport in this instance, huh? Get mouse position. Okay. So then here we can do UI right click. Yeah, I guess. UI left click. UI left click, UI middle click, and then UI right click. Also have the scroll wheel options, I guess. UI scroll up, UI scroll down. Mouse button, yeah, left button, middle button. Kind of a pain how to assign all these inputs like this, but it's okay. I also did the wrong button. Right click. UI, scroll up, so wheel up, and then wheel down. Yeah, there we go. If inputs is action just pressed, UI right click, UI right click, and not selected objects, empty. Then we'll do a thing. That function is not yet implemented here, but we'll get to it. We'll get to it. So this is going to be like the moving function. So I prefer the StarCraft method of moving things around. So you use left click to select things, and then right click is just for issuing movements. Whereas the kind of style of games that I grew up with, Command and Conquer, it was more left click to select, left click to move, and then right click to deselect. But I don't know. Once you get, or I guess once you use the StarCraft method, it feels a lot more natural, in my opinion. Is action just pressed? Is it UI left click? UI left click. Alright, so I don't actually have anything here. I have selection start position, so we can do that. Selection start position is equal to mouse position. And then, why do I have this if... Okay, this is fine. We can do an elif as well. Elif is just action pressed. UI left click. Don't have the drawable. It's object selector. What is that? So drawing the selection box is harder than it sounds, unfortunately. Or fortunately, depending on how you feel about this kind of stuff. So this needs to be a control somewhere, probably here. I'll just kind of slap a control down. There you go, there's your control. Probably doesn't even need to be a control, if I'm being honest. It could probably just be a canvas layer. Yeah, I think a canvas layer might actually be better since it won't eat my inputs. Yeah, there we go. So this is our drawer. So let's grab that. Onready var drawer. And this is a canvas layer equals one of these pitch drawer. As long as we're not pitching any tents, we'll be okay. So object selector. Let's see. Draw position. So we'll have var draw position. Some sort of vector 2, right? Vector 2 is 0. And then var is draw visible. Or I guess is like should draw, right? Should draw. You know what? That's why I made a control. It's because you cannot hide a canvas layer. So let's make it a control. And so we can go, well, think also it doesn't need to be a canvas layer. I think it can just be a node 2D. I think that's okay. I'll think about it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there's an optimal play here. What I do know is that in my original code, you can see here that I split up a bunch of my original things, which I've kind of gone away from that kind of style of programming. It's a very Java style of programming where every class is its own object. Whereas here, I don't know, I think I'm more for flat hierarchies, right? Make your objects wide as opposed to making your objects deep. Which conveniently enough also kind of describes my kind of skill set. Not really super deep knowledge in anything, but I know enough in order to sound well read at the very least. To make it sound like I know what I'm talking about. Which doesn't happen all that often, but when it does, when all the pieces fit into place, it's a beautiful sight. Should draw. Var should draw is equal to true. Else, draw position is equal to no. This is should draw is equal to false. And if input is action just released, that was completely the wrong thing. So is action just released. This is UI left click, right? Then we'll want to do some function probably called select objects. So let's start implementing all of this stuff. You know, follow along, kids. I'm inside of, well, phrasing. I'm in the player scene controller GD file. So I know all of this stuff works and it works well. I'm just kind of moved around the object hierarchy so that they're not separate files anymore, because there's no reason for them to be separate files. So we have here var func draw. So this is a built-in Godot function, draw. I believe any canvas item can just call draw, as long as they're doing, you know, this. So if we do also need to call update at the very end. So we'll call if should draw, then we'll call update. Then update calls draw and updates the, you know, the position, or it toggles whatever it is for a redraw. You know what? I might need to have another script attached to it. Yeah, because I don't think I have a draw function on this. Now I'm thinking about it, that's why I split it up, right? That might be why. That is totally why. Oh, what an idiot. Okay. That's okay. That's okay. So let's call this selection drawer, because we're about to just attach a script to it called selection drawer. So selection drawer, that's a control. Send it. Rename this to selection drawer. So I cannot implement the draw function in this script. I have to implement it in this script because it doesn't exist in game camera. So I guess this makes things slightly easier. Let's give it a name, class name, selection drawer. Takes a few variables. One, I'm retyping everything just to get a feel for how things used to work as well. I know that sounds kind of weird, know. I feel like typing things out kind of gives me the muscle memory for how things should actually work. I don't know if that's true or not. But whether or not I'm tricking myself or it actually works, you know, the result is roughly the same. Is that whenever I just copy and paste and then I have to go back to the code, you know, a week or two later, a month later, I'll be like, I have no idea what this was. Whereas if I actually type out the code, I'm like, I remember typing this. I might not remember where I got the code from, but I'll remember, oh, I typed that. This is my code. That's why it sucks so much. So it should draw false. Oh. So bar int. So you might notice as well that I'm not using like pure static typing all across the board. So for things that are obvious like bools or colors, I'll use the kind of Go style typing. But for things that are not as obvious, so for ints and floats, I'll use Python style static typing. Golang also supports Python style static typing, I think, in this way. Does it? I think it does, yeah. But idiomatic Go, you should be doing it like this. But man, I've been working with some Go code at work. Just you can tell that the guy who originally wrote it was a Java guy. It's that code is rough. So I work as a consultant, right? And it's I can't even blame the client because this is one of our own guys. Ugh, what a pain. Oh, did that wrong. Let's see, we'll hit it with an update. There's no reason to update every frame, but we might as well. There's no reason to check, you know, should draw. Right, because we're checking should draw and draw anyways. If should draw and selection start position does not equal mouse position. So we don't always want to draw. So when you start clicking, we don't want to draw anything right away. All right, and here's the fun part. And we are going to type out every single line of this. Because I'm just completely insane. Completely lost it. Someone get a doctor, but not for me. Selection start position Y. Selection box color. Selection box line width. I think that's it. Yeah. Here we go. So we're drawing a box line by line. And this is exactly why I really do not like working with, I guess, code-only libraries. It's because this is painful. Like, if I wanted to do this, you know, I think, like, when I was doing this, I was also following along with a tutorial, and then I just kind of modified it. So they gave me this code already. But if I was trying to figure out like a drawing algorithm all by myself, I would have to, this is one of the things where I would have to like draw it on a piece of paper and then just kind of like staple it on the wall in front of me. Otherwise, I'm 100% about to just forget how this entire thing works. It's too abstract for me. Like, I understand why we're putting things where we're putting things, right? You know, we have mouse position, easy, vector 2, you know. You can look up the parameters all here. But I think just keeping it all straight in my head, this is tough. I don't know. Like, we're programmatically drawing a box. You know, not hard, not easy. I think I did mess something up somewhere. I did. And it didn't give me a warning position. There we go. There we go. So selection drawer. So this is a selection drawer. Selection drawer. We don't need any of these anymore. So we'll just call this SD because I'm lazy. So SD mouse position is equal to that. SD should draw. SD should draw. There we go. Oh. Thank you very much for all the follows, anonymous followers. Will not call you out because you have not spoken in chat yet. But worry not, I am monitoring you. And, oh, you know what? I should actually like keep this in my my description, but look at this. There's a Discord if you want to join that. I wrote the bots. I wrote pretty much everything, right? So this isn't even stream avatars. This is just my own overlay. Let's see your stream avatars do this. Whee! Whee! Yeah, I should just keep the chat commands on screen or in the title, right? So there's a help. It's beautiful. Hello. Gravity. Is that a pog? What is that pog? Also, thank you very much, Kirino, for the follow. Yeah, that code is open source, by the way. Most things I work on are FOSS. This code will not be FOSS, but that's okay. I've already released the 2 previous versions, so I don't feel too bad about it. You can piece together your own thing. Some of them are actually pretty far along as well, right? So the original 2D version of this that I was working on, like I had like a pretty fancy crossfader script. So if you wanted to, oh no, hold on. This happens sometimes. If you ever change the class name at runtime, everything just breaks. That's how I found this stream. Oh baby, found the stream through the GitHub. Actually, really? Or is it through the Discord? I don't think oh, actually my Twitch is in my GitHub profile. I suppose that's fair enough. Alright. This is fine. This is fine. Game camera. Yeah, I'm assuming that you're mostly interested in this thing here though, the duck. One of those kind of things. Or one of the other more popular projects. Look at this. Version 7.1 should be out at some point. I just need to test it on Linux and then I can throw something out there. So check this out. Tell me how this makes you feel. So I'm still implementing a better system for blend shapes, but I think this will work. This will work for now. I really don't like how like the fun blend shape is more of like an uwu blend shape. That's okay. We can keep it like this. It's a bit weird. But yeah, that should be coming in 7.1, and then in the 8.0, the 0.8.0 release, that'll actually probably be my 1.0 release. Because that's when I'm going to implement like actual blend shapes. So you'll like click a button, you can be like, oh, make a happy face, and then I'll try to scan your facial features at that exact point in time for your happy face, and then you can switch. It'll kind of automatically swing from expression to expression based off your actual expression. Whereas right now you do have to just click the button. So I can turn it off. We can be angry. I'll just be really angry all the time. You baka. Something like that. Freaking weebs, man. Ruining everything. Ruining our open source. Oh, this is one of the ones where I have to duck type, I remember. So var new selected objects. Don't want to bother you, so I'm gonna alert to test things out. Thank you for your work. Oh, thank you. Q707. Understandable. They're very similar looking letters. Anyways, thanks very much for the follow. It helps signal boost the channel, if anything else. And by helping signal boost the channel, hopefully I can get more people to give the repository stars, which is that's really what I did it for. Just give me stars. It helps me in interviews. So I'm gonna be like, I know I did poorly during the technical portion of the interview, but just check it out. I write software that people actually like to use, more or less. So like, it's okay. I might not know how to invert a binary tree, but I do know how to write real software. I've actually never been asked to invert a binary tree, but I hear that that is a very common question. I don't know if that's true or not. I feel like most of my programming exams have actually been, or programming tests that I had to do during interviews have actually been pretty easy. Selected object. Oh, hold on. So there's a few things here that I need to implement really quick. So get object under mouse. So once again takes a mouse position. At some point this starts to make more sense as like a global variable, right? So var results. This is some sort of node. Fix a comment somewhere on Linux and say Linux contributor. Yeah, technically true, but I don't know. It's technically true, ethically a bit dishonest, but you know what? Money has never caused me to shy away from anything. Although actually, did you know like submitting like Linux patches is actually fairly strenuous? So unless you're doing something that's really necessary, they will force you to do it like the Linux way. So I know there was the kerfuffle earlier on in the year about there was some company did some sort of file system driver for interoperability with Windows file systems, something like that, maybe. I don't really know. And was it Linus Torvalds, the proprietor, we shall say, of the Linux kernel project. Oh, do I not have the camera? Oh, I don't. I don't have the camera. Var camera. Yeah. Yeah, he went on one of his little tirades. I was like, your commit is bad, but because the patch is so good, we'll let it in. So like, if you're doing commits, or if you're working on an open source project, or you want to merge stuff into the Linux kernel, please do not work on your stuff on GitHub. Please do it properly, or like at least don't do your pull requests, merge, or don't do any merging via GitHub, because GitHub does strip out a lot of information, and so that's gonna be tough. I have worked on just Git only systems before, but those are kind of painful to use. Because then you need to go through their systems. And, oh, I wanna merge some stuff into master. And it's, oh, okay, well, I don't really know what this interface looks like. I'm really familiar with GitHubs and GitLabs and Bitbucket. I like the UI for pull requests. That might just be a me thing though. I don't know. Project, ray, origin. Let's see, mouse, position. I think that's correct. Okay, so we can uncomment this and then just return the result really quickly so we can get rid of the error. When I will touch the Linux kernel, I will know what I'm doing. Maybe. It's okay, just insert bad patches to the Linux kernel. Just go ahead, join a university, study computer science, go into a master's program, and then just submit bad faith patches, and then you can become famous. Remember that story? Alright, hold on. Yeah, there was like, it was like one of the flyovers. Flyover state is kind of mean to say, but it's okay. Because it is one of those states. It wasn't Dakota, I know that. It wasn't one of the Dakotas. I want to say it was Wisconsin, but they were submitting, like, willingly submitting bad patches to the Linux kernel to see, I guess, to kind of prod their security. But instead of telling people that they were doing it, they didn't, and then they just let the patches go through. And I was like, wow. Turns out, if you ever become trusted, they'll just let you do whatever you want. Become a so if you're from a big institution, that's crazy. Found out Adobe is supporting NFTs. Bruh. Yo, my new company is supporting NFTs as well. Bruh. NFTs suck. But they are very profitable as well. You know, it goes back to the thing, it's like, is it ethically okay? No. Would it be, you know, financially and fiduciarily irresponsible to be not to deal with NFTs? Yes. Therefore, I work with NFTs. Kryta is trending on Twitter because of it. I don't really know how Twitter trending works, so. I do want to, for my bot, I do want to build in a Twitter integration at some point as well. Man, the Twitter API is super restricted unless you have like an academic license or you pay for it, right? It's crazy. So if you want to like dig through tweets, you can only dig through like the last 2 weeks of tweets. If you get caught and your name gets dragged through the mud, not a good deal, I think. Well, no, depends. Like, how much are you paying me to drag my name through the mud? Like, you know, if you want me to become the next Elon Musk, that's okay. Just give me $1 trillion and you can drag my name through the mud all you want, baby. That's okay with me. Yeah, everyone has a price. You just need to find the price at some point. I also did not give the unit a group. So this is, call it a unit. This is the unit group. So you should just be able to grab that. So if results and results collider, is it called is in group? What is it called? Is in group unit. Have they got a good grade? Yeah, I don't know. Well, you don't get grades when you get to that part, or I guess get that far in university, right? So if you're already like doing like masters or whatever, you really only need to impress your supervisor, or I guess not. It's not called your supervisor, but you know, you study under another professor, and then they grade you or whatever. I don't really know how it works. Because I am completely done with school. So, was thinking about going back, but I was like, you know what? School sucks, dude. I hate school. What is this called, by the way? Is in group. Okay, is in group. Yeah. They did get called out though, so they're like, I think there was like a big witch hunt for a little while, being like, you should blacklist like whoever was on that team, which I think is fair, you know. I think submitting bad patches to the kernel, you don't make any money from doing it, so it makes no sense to me. Like it makes no. If you're not gonna make a lot of money from doing something unethical, then why do it? Now, if you're gonna make a lot of money from doing something unethical, I'm not saying you should do it, but I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. You know, I think you know, my pride is cheap. I've learned that. I've learned that fairly, not fairly recently. I learned that during school. I was like, I don't know. Like, what does pride buy you? Not too much. Not too much. I don't see the point of selling a JPEG for millions of dollars when the art is poorly made. Even talented artists are joining in on NFTs. Then it comes out of is harming the environment in JPEGs. Yeah, exactly, right? JPEGs or GIFs or videos, pretty much anything that is digital can be minted as an NFT, a non-fungible token. Yeah, well, the reason why more artists are joining in is one, it's profitable, right? It's profitable. And two, it's because there's no regulation for NFTs. So when you try to, you know, you can just steal someone else's art and then sell it, which is crazy. So when put in that position, you're like, I guess I might as well go into NFTs. No, NFTs are ethically immoral, if only because, well, because they go against a few principles, right? So one is that blockchain is supposed to be decentralized, but you are, the only way that NFTs are really possible, the only way that anyone respects the NFT is if you have a centralized authority who recognizes the NFT and says that this is authentic, right? So that kind of, you know, there's some hypocrisy there. So you're on a decentralized chain, but you need a centralized authority for your decentralized tokens to work. Huh? You know, that doesn't make too much sense. Additionally, they are environmentally just horrible. Yeah, they are environmentally just really bad for the environment, right? Because I believe the most popular NFTs are minted on Ethereum. So Ethereum is pretty slow right now, right? And Ethereum is also why it's so hard to buy a graphics card right now, right? So riddle me this, you know, because of NFTs popularity, and NFTs are majority on Ethereum, Ethereum is most efficiently mined on graphics cards. Therefore, NFTs are responsible for whatchamacallit? What are they responsible for? They're responsible for the environmental impact, or you not being able to get a graphics card. There we go. So let's go through that again, because I kind of lost my train of thought. Because I was thinking about two things at once. It's hard. Also, I spelled it mash instead of mesh or mask. Yeah, so Ethereum, slow. They're trying to make it faster. Ethereum, most efficiently mined using graphics cards. Graphics cards are in low supply because of mining. NFTs run on Ethereum, therefore NFTs result in you not being able to upgrade your computer. How does that make you feel? How does that make you feel? And results collider is in group unit. You know, you think that's fine. If you think that's fine, then that's, you know, can't do anything about that. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. Just art commissions must be in. Actually, they're not even, they're barely even art commissions, right? Because aren't art commissions someone actually pays you for, like, they give you a request more or less, or they say like, oh, I want something that looks like this. Whereas an NFT is, you know, you can do anything, right? Like Tim Berners-Lee, the more or less the father of the internet. It was not Al Gore. Tim Berners-Lee from CERN sold the first, I think it was like the first specification of HTML as an NFT, which is silly. I'm gonna use Kryta 5 right now. Kryta's really improving. I have Kryta. I am Kryta. Check that out. Kryta. Look at that. I have no idea what version I'm on. I can check right now. Scoop list. What version of Kryta am I on? Oh, I'm on 448. Is Kryta 5 out? Scoop search Kryta. This is really the biggest thing that I miss from Linux, is having a command line package manager. Art commissions are just art requests but worth money. Yeah. But NFTs aren't necessarily art requests. It could just be anything you have lying around. So even if you've already sold, or I guess completed your commission, you can still mint it again as an NFT, which is unethical. You understand what is going on with Tim? Is there somebody? He did a good thing. Yeah. Tim Berners-Lee. Yeah, he's a good dude. He's a good dude. HTML. I should also mention that at one point this entire UI is dynamically generated and configured via an XML file. HTML is just a subset of XML. Therefore, I had the idea. What if? Also, I'm still angry. I kind of forgot I put the angry face on. Let's put the lewd face on. Yeah. What if I made this configurable like HTML? That would be pretty cool. I have an idea on how to do that, but it won't be this week. It'll be after I get probably the 1.0 of OpenCFace GD out. Is Kryta N+ and Kryta Next? I'm not familiar with those. Kryta N+? Are these Ligmas? Kryta N+? What is Kryta? Or is it just Kryta Plus? Still don't know what that is. There's no Kryta 5. Kryta Next. Kryta Next features. Oh, there's Kryta Next on Copper. I don't know what this is though. Kryta Plus is just an alpha of Kryta 5. Yeah, I don't really know. I guess if it's just an alpha or like a beta, that's it, right? Don't need to assign a fancy term to it. What are you, a project manager? Anyways, got him, by the way. And next is just newer features coming after 5. I don't know, I like Krita. I like Krita. I'm not very much of an artist, unfortunately, but I do give it my best shots. Get object under mouse. So this is mouse position. Then if selected object. Krita 5 has a new brush engine, allow their code rework to become better. Oh, I'd hope so. I would hope so. I hope they wouldn't rework their code to become worse. Let's say that. You feel me? Append selected objects. Alright. Else. The brush engine is the MyPaint brush engine, and it's great. It's great what? Not sure what MyPaint is. Isn't Krita? Krita's like it's a GTK project, so it's Linux native. MyPaint sounds like it's not Linux native. But I have no idea. Function. Get objects in box. No, this one is top. Top left. Some sort of vector 2. Bottom right. I feel like this feels familiar. I think I actually wrote this, but I'm looking at the code and I just don't remember at all. Bar. Results. It's like I wrote half of it, but I don't remember. MyPaint is an art program that has a good brush engine. I don't know anything about it. Is it still actively developed? MyPaint? MyPaint? Oh, there we go. MyPaint versus Krita. How nice. I'm assuming. Oh, cool. It's on GitHub as well. Oh, and it's still actively developed? I've never heard of MyPaint. Huh. That's neat. Look at that. That's cool. Latest commit April 27th, and then they presumably have like development branches as well. Maybe not. I don't know. Is this a mirror? This might be mirrored. Nightly release? Maybe not. I mean, this is master, right? Hard to say. Build from source, sure. Yeah, no, it's not actively released. I guess it's just in maintenance mode. If they're just asking you to build from master, but there's nothing there. That's neat though. It's in maintenance mode. Alright, hold on. I remember this. If top left X is greater than bottom right X, var TMP, some sort of float, is equal to top left X. You know, one of the big complaints that I see from a lot of, I guess, other programmers is that doing static typing is so much slower. But I feel like that's just not correct. It's like an excuse, right? Because it takes almost no time to add static typing. The majority of your time that you spend developing is not spent typing. It's mostly just spent thinking about the stuff. The benefit of static typing is that it helps you think about less stuff, right? You no longer need to think about it. You just need to, drop it from your mind. And whenever you go back to it, you can just, oh, that's neat. That's what it was. Didn't even need to remember. Whereas, if you didn't have types, you'd be like, what is TMP? Was it a float? Yeah, top left. What was top left? Top left is a vector 2, which has floats. And then that's how you could figure it out, right? And so you had to go back through the entire chain. Whereas if you have static typing like this, it's like, oh, okay, it's a float. Nice. That's all I care about. And of course, the variable name could be a bit more descriptive, but we'll ignore that for now. So rect2 top left bottom right minus top left new no for object in get tree get nodes in group I guess unit. I need to think of a better way of doing this. So let's add a to do. This really only will show up when I go back into VS Code, because VS Code I have the fancy extension to highlight my to-dos. So to do, change this to a constant. Change this to a constant. All right, so pass. If box has points, camera unproject. All right, now I don't remember anything about what is going on. Unproject. Did I make this a camera 2D? Is that why it's not giving me anything? Oh no, it's here. Camera unproject position. Object global transform origin results append object. There we go. Yeah. So now we can go back up here. So in this else statement we have new selected objects is equal to get objects under mouse. No, get objects in box. Get objects in box. So that's selection, start position, and then the mouse position. Right, so you can drag, I guess, from top left to bottom right, but you can also drag from, like, you know, bottom left to slightly behind top left, or from bottom right to top left. So that's what this reversal thing here is for. So we need to reverse it just in case we go in the wrong direction. Otherwise it would just be too hard, and it would also break all the time, aka crash. So if new selected object's size is not 0, we'll do for object in selected objects. We'll do a thing for objects in new selected objects. Now I'm seeing why I named it like this. So to do stubs and then selected objects is equal to new selected objects. Wow. How does he think of these names? For objects in selected objects. This is also a stub. We'll get to it. To do stub. And then selected objects. Oh, okay. Well, we can just do this, right? Oh, and this doesn't return anything either. Why didn't I type this? Yeah. Selected objects is equal to new selected objects. There we go. Beautiful. Select objects. Where is this called? This is called in here. I guess this could return something, so it's more or less, like, these are more or less like static functions. They're not quite static, but they're pretty close to being static. So they don't adjust any, they don't modify anything. I guess in this case they are modifying stuff implicitly, but we'll ignore that. You know what? We won't ignore that. We'll make it implicit. We'll make it a static function. There we go. Bum. And then move units. We'll also stub this out as well, just because. Move units, mouse position. So pretty much all of this stuff just depends on having the mouse position, which is okay. So var results is equal to Raycast from mouse position. And then we'll need the ground mask. Do I have a ground mask? I don't have a ground mask. What is my ground mask? Ground mask is... I feel like this needs to be put into a separate file as like just constants, right? Ground. Can't type today, huh? Ground masked. That's not even close to ground mask. It's official. I'm making my organs into an NFT. Well, if you can digitize your organs, I guess it would work. Right? Actually, I'm not sure. What are the requirements for making an NFT? Does it actually have to be digital, or you can just say that it's linked to something digital? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I've never really thought about that. Do you want to... How much would you want to sell them for? It has to be a JPEG. Well, that's okay. On the internet where none of us are real anyways. Isn't it? Needle Mouse, you're one of these. Actually, wait. Did this break, or did someone fall out of the thing? Does this work? Did I lose connection, by the way? Oh, it lost connection. Oh, interesting. So does that mean my chatbot also lost connection? Hold on. No? Oh, I just like randomly lost connection here, huh? Interesting. Sometimes it just breaks. I have no idea why. And I also have nothing in here to facilitate an automatic reconnect. Which doesn't help. Yeah, TV Paint, but OpenTunes seems better. Yeah, OpenTunes is the one that was used by Studio Ghibli, right? Isn't that true? $1 billion. Actually, here's how much I would pay for your organs. Roll 1. Bum, 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 bum. I would pay this much for your organs as an NFT. Oh no. That's a lie. I wouldn't pay that much for your organs. That's actually like almost the max amount that you could pay. Hold on, no, I would roll bum 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 bum. I would pay this much. Oh, it's okay. All right, you know what? Looks like I'm paying near full price for your organs as an NFT. So if you sell them now, mint them digitally, you'll be a multi-millionaire. That's tough. That's tough. Because it is random, so you have a... Yeah, roll 1. I'll give you $1 for your organs. How does that strike you? Does that sound good? And result collider is in group ground. Let's see. I don't really have any movement indicators, so we'll do movement indicator stuff for units in selected objects. Roll 1. I just wanted a mouse. Oh, you got a mouse. There we go. If you want to randomize your people, you can just hit them with one of these. I don't know if it worked or not. Hold on. Unless it broke again. Yeah, we're subscribed. Do these not work anymore? Hold on. No, it does work. I just rolled the same thing over and over again. How does that happen? Hold on. No, there's other animals, I swear. There's the peanut and or potato. The sprite is backwards, so it looks super jank, but that's okay. There's all kinds of things that you could have. Whee! Because we're not limited by whatever the developer lets you do. Because I am the developer. If units help. Nope, that is not the chat command. It is question mark help to differentiate itself from Nightbots or most other bots, you know. Because we're fancy. We're fancy. Let's see. Yeah, so if you want to hit it with a help. Look at that. Hit you with the donate. Please don't. No donations, I beg of you. It's one of these. Oh, you hit it with a custom command. So custom command is actually one of these. So if you kind of caught these controls here that were on screen, you can hit it with a random chonk jump. So it's pretty much just better value for whatever you're doing, right? So instead of paying 3 times, you can just type in your command and hope it kind of slightly matches up with whatever the UI says. Oh, thank you for redeeming a hydrate. Let me grab my water bottle. Ugh. I should drink more water. Ugh. Did just drink one of those, like the poor man cans of sake. Yeah. So check this out as well. If you are a streamer, this could be kind of cool. So, the system I wrote is so fancy. Got a 50% sale on hydrate, thank you. Oh, nice. Did you? Oh, you did! You did. All right, let me go throw that back up into my water bottle. I got rused. Because of that, I will be right back. I'll go grab another drink and use the bathroom. BRB. Oh, hello. Did you get what you were rolling for, Needle Mouse? So, base unit. Or he's still rolling. Pain. It's okay. What else were you gonna use the, What else were you gonna use your points on anyways? You didn't need them. Having channel points is for nerds. Hey, the pupper is a good one. The pupper is a really good one. By the way, Kirino. Some of these, a lot of the animal ones are from my Ludum Dare thing. Let me see, Ludum Dare. Still pretty salty about the results, but you know, that's just how it is sometimes. You can play that here though. It was a submission from Ludum Dare 49. The tutorial was a bit too hard, I think. So I think a lot of people rated my game poorly because of that. Also, the graphics weren't great, so I did see that my graphics also took a hit. I think compared to some games, it wasn't too bad. Like even like the #1 rated game was just vector art. Like very, very simple, like just circles and stuff. Like, how did this get #1? What the heck? Const min move. Well, I think it is good to remember that there are a lot of there we go, I got you. I got you. I did it. No! No! I thought you were going for the clown. Is this not true? I tried. There's like 20 something like possible sprites you could have. So at any moment it could change. There we go, there's the jump. Or we can just do this. Whee! 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 Hold on, where are you, Needlemouse? I'll give it to you. Stop randomizing. We can do it. Whoa. I can just manual override. There's a snake. There we go. Manual override until we get it. Aren't you glad I put in the debug console there? Clown is rare. Well, they're all equally rare. They're all equally special in their own way. Because they all have exactly the same chance. I do plan on making it so you won't be able to roll the same thing 2 times in a row. Yeah. A 5-star gacha with all of with the only possible units to roll being 5 stars. I was very tempted to get back into Arknights, by the way. I saw that Arknights, they somewhat recently released some new units. So, oh, look at these units, dude. They have, was it Scotty? But she's now a caster instead of a, not a defender. Fighter? What is their class? Anyways, I played Arknights for a little bit. I thought Arknights is probably one of my favorite gacha games, besides like Genshin Impact. Because Arknights feels very beatable, even if you don't have, you know, 5 stars. You don't need to shell out a bunch. And also, it's possible to get, you know, guaranteed 5 stars as well, more or less. Mostly because of like anniversary events, so you just get to pick one. Arc Knights is nice because it's beatable. Azure Lane. I think the fan service kind of made me a little uncomfortable. And by kind of made me a little uncomfortable, it made me very uncomfortable. But, you know, I get it. I get the appeal. I do like how it's possible to, you know, beat the entire game using, or you also do not need to have 5 stars in order to do pretty well. It does help, but it's also really easy to get 5 stars as well. Like if it seems like their main moneymaker in that game, Azure Lane, is like selling skins, which I get. To be honest, I have paid for a few skins. I don't know how degenerate that makes me, but I no longer play anyways. It's such a time sink, and I no longer have that kind of time. It's like there's so many other things I can be doing than just playing, you know, a gacha game. You know, I could be working on my Twitch bot, or just like the bot in general. All right, so the ground needs to have. Why does the ground need a mask again? Who is using ground mask? Were you using ground mask? Ground. Collider in group, that's not the mask. Did you have a ground mask? You had a ground mask. Okay, that's okay. Let's see. Ready. So this should be like input mouse mode confined. So if I do that, I also need to turn on high DPI mode. So let's go to, I think it's a window, allow high DPI. Yeah. So then we'll do input, set mouse mode. It's confined. And then this is just some debug stuff, which I like to use. So, unhandled. Well, actually just regular input event, right? Input event. Yeah, I feel like making a gacha game, but like not having any, or I guess mixing gacha games and incremental games could be pretty fun. That's my kind of weird game idea, right? Because everyone loves gambling. I really should go back to that WarioWare style game I was making, but I just don't have any. I just want to work on it for whatever reason. But I think the new WarioWare, from what I've seen, combines both of those as well. Like you play WarioWare, which is already fun by itself, but then after that you gain money, which you can then spin in the Wario Gacha to level up your units to be even more effective, I guess. So that's a good idea. You know, it's addictive. People like, one, being able to do really quick tasks, and they also like the uncertainty of spinning the wheel and getting a random prize. So I think there's some cool stuff there. This unexplored whatever is there. I think more people are just focused on the direct stuff, right? Oh, this is not game camera. This is yeah, the direct benefit of a gacha game, which is, you know, just milking the player dry, which is fair enough. Up, stop on slope, true, yes. Let's see, on detection shape, okay, so I remember now. So for all of these units, you'll have a detection sphere, so you'll know who you want to fight, who you don't want to fight, so we'll have an array, add a collision shape, and that'll be a circle. So make this a big sphere shape. roughly good enough. Radius of 3. There we go. So this is your detection area. Go. We can hook it all up as well. So, bar detected enemies, which is some sort of array. And we can put an enum here as well. So enum. Well, these would just be groups, right? Let's keep it like this for now. Just detected enemies. So enemies. So from the detected enemies is more of like from the perspective of which side the unit is on. So for the player units, your enemies are, you know, your enemies. But for your enemies, detected enemies would be filled with player units, right? So that's fairly easy to understand. So detection group. You know what? Let's throw all the groups into here. So we have the masks, that's okay. Then we'll have const. There's like the unit group. So I'm not doing this as a constant list. I don't know why though. Maybe I will. So we'll have const groups, which is a dictionary, right? New dictionary. Well, that's why I'm not doing it as a dictionary, because it's just so much more that you need to write, which is a pain. Yeah, so we'll have units. What is it called? Base unit is a unit. We'll call it units. Maybe just unit? Units. Then I'll also need to adjust game camera. So that's units. And also I'll need to adjust that anyways, right? Because it needs to be units group. String. Units. This would be a lot easier in C#, but I'm trying to avoid doing too much C# for quicker projects. Hopefully this is a quicker project anyways. So ground and player. Ground group. So this is ground const. This is the player group. So this refers to units that are under your control. So we can sub out a lot of this. So this is app manager. Oh no, this is units, right? Yeah. Units. App manager. Units group. This is the ground group. Did I implement ground group? Yeah, I did. Boom, boom. App manager. That's gravity. Not really a group, but could be. Player. App manager. Player group. There we go. So in base units, finally. Oh, yeah. And then we should also have the, well, I guess none group is just the default at this point then, huh? So detection group. And this is none. There we go. And then it's up to each unit whether or not they actually want to hook up to these, you know, detection sphere functions. But these are fairly easy. So detection sphere entered. So it'll be some sort of body. And more likely than not, it will be a node. So if. Huh? Why does my old code check to see if the body is null? Huh? Oh, hello, Toolshed. Hello, hello. How are you doing tonight? This is what I'm working on. This is a new game. Or I guess it's a new old game. So this is based off of one of the, I guess, older projects I had in the works. Which is to say it's guess a mix of an RPG and RTS, as you can see from the title. However, you control a very small amount of units, but you fight I guess an RTS amount of enemies, right? So it'll be, you know, large unit tactics. I suppose almost in the way of like They Are Billions or whatever. They Are Millions? I've never played that game. I have watched people play it though. I was like, that seems cool. What if I did something like that? I have played a lot of StarCraft and Command and Conquer though. So that's where we're at. I have tried this once before with a slightly, let's see, back in July 2020. Oh geez, I did this way long ago. So that code, it's kind of rough for sure. That's the idea. All right, and I have the story. I kind of already have the entire world already somewhat planned out. Right, that's for my other game. Not other games. I did plan it all out more or less though. There's a document somewhere with all the notes. I don't know where they are though. Shouldn't get too attached to ideas, and which is my opinion. So let's see, detected enemies, append body. There we go. Alright, so the story is, so this is has been rolling around in the brain for a while. The story is, there is some sort of extinction events. Right now I have it in my head as being a whatchamacallit, an asteroid extinction event, right? So people start freaking out. Well, actually people don't know about it, only the government knows about it. But you know, for the years leading up, there's a weird military buildup and also just buildup of like survival shelters, but there's clearly not enough, so people are going to die. And so this will take place, I guess, right before, or maybe even right after the right before, somewhere near the asteroid impacts, probably before. And so this is like the conflict for the shelter. Conflict for shelter. So the government knows about it. Some people know about it, but they're, you know, silenced as usual. How edgy. That's the rough layout for this game. And group and detected enemies has body. Whoops. One of these. Detected enemies, erase body. Beautiful. Oh, and you know what? I forgot to hit it with one of these functions as well. So this is log message. So message, some sort of string, and then is error, which is a boolean, defaults to false. So I like to have this kind of utility in a lot of my games, or a lot of things I work on as well, not even games. So I have just a custom log message function that checks to see if there is an error, and then it will just force me to, you know, stop and look at the stack trace, which I'm a fan of. Because there are some errors, like it doesn't show up as an error in Godot, but it's still technically incorrect. So it's something that shouldn't happen. So just to kind of like bug me about it, be like, oh, here's something that is not technically an error, but it's something that I know should not be happening. right? So I'll do error string format this message, and then we'll assert false with this message. Then we'll do print. I don't think you can dump this. Oh, you can print the stack. How nice. Oh no, but you can't print stack with a message, right? Yeah. No. We'll just print it. I thought that might be a new thing in Godot 3.4, but it's not. Emit signal message logs with this message. How nice. All right. Font setup detection sphere connections. And I guess all units won't have a detection area either. They might have one, but they might not. I suppose that's true. Let's get rid of this. So this will be area, some sort of area. Void. So area. Connect. Area. We're body entered, right? Not area entered. Because I can almost guarantee that most things will be a kinematic body 2D, since I want total control on how everything kind of moves around. Yeah. Alright, so area, connect, body exited, on detection. Something is wrong with that previous function, but we'll get back to it. Alright, what's your problem? Never mind. You didn't have a problem. So this shouldn't do anything because, ooh, that's wrong. Ooh. Ooh, what the heck? Also can't full screen it? Ooh. What is this? So I'm able to draw something on screen, but it's not quite correct. So what's going on here? So it's always drawing in the top left, which we don't want. Is it because of this? This needs to be full rect, maybe? That can, no, I didn't think it would be that, but I was hoping it was really simple. All right, let's now use our brains. Something I'm not very used to doing. I think maybe I need to just kind of throw this into a canvas layer. I might need to just have this on a canvas layer, right? So if I do canvas layer, selection drawer, then all I need to do is update this to be canvas layer. Take a look. Nope, still not it. Although that probably does have a little bit of benefit to me. But right now it doesn't. Let's stay focused. Let's stay focused. So selection drawer should draw, and then selection start position. When do I set selection start position? Get object in box. Get object in box. When do I start drawing? Well, yeah, wait. Selection drawer. Something doesn't seem right. Something doesn't seem right. So this one, this is, start putting everything back in. So this is mouse position. There's something missing here. Oh, this is SD. Selection start position. I forgot to set the start position. That's why it's not really working. Yeah. Look at that. So we're not able to select anything, but that's as expected. It looks really small on screen because, I mean, I have a UHD monitor, so it's it's struggling right now. let's see. Oh man, my back. Yeah, so let's do this really quickly then. So we will inherit from a base unit. I guess, do we need to? Yeah, I guess we can. We can just have these be specifically player units. Or player unit. Okay. Need to stop saying exactly, or need to stop typing exactly what I'm saying, right? So this will be a base player unit, and then we'll continue the drill down after that. So we'll call this player. And you might notice that the name of the game is called Deployment Gadget. So what I'm kind of going for here is that each unit will more or less be, I guess, their own unit, right? So you can't really have dupes. You can have dupes of generic units, but you can't have dupes of, I guess, named units. And then those will be the ones that you want to use. Now, is that kind of scummy? Yes. But is it addictive? Also yes. Base unit. So base player unit. Look at this. Everyone loves giant class hierarchies. Alright, so let me see. How does this work? Entities. And by the way, the thing that I'm kind of referencing here as well, if you want to take a look at the code that I wrote like a year ago. Is it a MOBA? Absolutely not. It's single player. I do have a game that I made for a game jam that kind of plays like a MOBA, right? It is not this one. It is Party Rotations. I did work on this a few times on stream, but I don't know. I don't have any desire to work on it anymore. I thought the game was pretty good though. The idea was pretty good. So this is for the Kenny Jam. Right, so the idea is that you have your units, you know, you need to rotate through them to get the most optimal skill rotation. So they all have different skills, like this guy shoots spears, the warrior kind of sucks. Is really only there to buff your units. Mage is where you'll do the majority of your damage, and also do a lot of, or actually the spearman is where you do the majority of your damage. Yeah. But you want to, you know, there are skills that reduce your cooldown, there are skills that do damage, there are skills that buff your units, that give you a damage buff, and then there's like an optimal way to roll through them. But then you also have the MOBA style controls from like League of Legends. So, you know, just right click as hard as possible, press Q, press E, press all the buttons, ulti, Q, W, E, R, don't kill me. And then you can switch. And then I think also something that was pretty neat about this game idea as well was that only your currently selected unit will take damage from the enemy. So if you wanted to, you know, do a sick dodge or whatever, all you would need to do is move out of the way or switch to a unit that was not in the way. So you can see that a few of these units can basically teleport. Right, but only your trailing units will not instantly jump with you. It's only your currently controlled units. So that way you can kind of dodge damage by, you know, you jump away, that you can jump back and just be, you know, still in range to cast skills. Anyways, this is a 2-day game jam, so it's not very good. But if you want to try it, it's on my itch.io page. Is my itch.io page in my bot? It's not. That's unfortunate. But that game is also free and open source on my GitHub, so if you want to check that out. Using free assets as well, since it just uses Kenny assets, since that was the point of the game jam. A player unit GT, so let's see. How does this work? Did I never implement a lot of this? I think that's very possible. I'm looking at my old code. I'm wondering like, how did I even like move things around? Target move position. Oh, you know what? That makes sense. Target move position. And I did make really hard use of, I guess, finite state machines, which I'm kind of over. Not really into finite state machines anymore. Here's something that will take a little bit to implement, which are, oh no. Animations. So you will have, so there's already a few animations that we need to take care of, right? But along with those animations, we have, what's the word I'm looking for? Directions for these animations. So you'll have your idle animation, sure, and then you'll have your move animation, right? That all makes sense. But then you'll also have, oh, you know what? These should be on the base unit as well, since I do want all units to have access to these. What did I do? Bring me back. Control Z me. Oh no. What? 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 Why can't I do anything? Huh? Am I crazy? Not able to save? Can I undo? That was weird. Am I still... What was that? I don't know. Can't copy and paste either. Is my thing breaking? Is Godot breaking? This happens sometimes. I'm not sure why though. That is so weird. Right. So we go to undo. Undo. This is control. I'm pressing control. Can't save. That's a bit strange. Just ignore it. Hope it doesn't come back. This does happen sometimes on these new computers. I'll just lose the ability to interact with an application for whatever reason. Yeah, okay, interesting. So base player units, we still have this. Control X, Control C. So those are animations that all units, or I guess all infantry units will have. And then we'll have the, I guess it's like directions, right? Which will also be a dictionary. And so we'll need to come up with a novel way of moving things around. So this is what all the units look like so far. Right, little dudes. You know, idle animations, so idle east. So they'll just kind of wiggle, 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 northeast. Wiggle, 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 north. How neat. And then we'll handle the actual animation stuff later, but I will go ahead and actually write these in as well. So east will be east. Who would have thought? Can you have multiple directions all at the same time? I feel like I've done this before. So I came up with a system to, I guess, modify the sprites based on the various, like if you split 2π by 6, then those are your various slices. And then you just need to get the rotation modified by pi over 4. And then that's how you can kind of determine which specific sprites you want to show, right? Because I have all of these, right? Idle east, or yeah, north, northeast, east, etc., etc. So you just go down the entire kind of compass. But I don't know. We can have like a sub-direction, or we can just do all the directions all at the same time, and then we'll just have a running count or running calculator, right? Because I also need to, oh, you know what? I do need to write these properly as well. I can't just do all caps because that's how the animations are named. Okay, that's fine. It's easier to read, just Pascal case as opposed to screaming case. Yeah, so we'll write down all the things. So this will be north. What did I spell? Northeast. Northeast. So this is northeast. And so this is kind of how we're going to construct our animation, right? Is we'll determine, are we moving or are we idle, right? And then we'll also determine which direction we're facing. So we'll have just a big switch statements. So we'll do some sort of calculation and then pick one of these. And then after that, we can construct our animation name. So if we are sitting idle, we're not moving, then we'll have idle. Concatenate that with the direction that we're currently facing. So idle north will correspond with idle north. You know, if we're facing southeast, then guess what? It'll be southeast. Wow. How is he so smart? So we'll just go clockwise as well. So east, east. This will be southeast, southeast. This one will be south, south. Let's see, southwest. Pretty good airline, to be honest. Never had a bad experience with the 2 times I've flown Southwest. I haven't flown on an airplane in a little bit, though, to be honest. Yeah, something about a little pandemic or whatever. But at this point in my life, I'm kind of glad I don't have to take plane rides all the time anymore. That is kind of a drag. Really, it's really tiring to have to fly all the time. So, glad I don't really have to do that anymore. I'm not really into going on vacations as well. I think I'd rather just like work on stuff at my computer. I'm kind of a shut-in. I've accepted my place in life as a shut-in. But I'm also, you know, the most jacked shut-in you have ever seen. I guess one of those neats who like, I was reading a manga. It was like a, you know, the dude's a neat, but also he's like freaking jacked because he does like a lot of calisthenics. So I guess he wouldn't be jacked, but he's like super in shape. Am I super in shape? Not really, but I do run, do a lot of pull-ups, can do 25 good ones. The max I've ever done is 35, but that's when you start swinging the legs. So that doesn't really count if you're going for good form. Let's see, target position. Target position should be, or target move. Or I guess move to position will be a vector 3, 0. Yeah. And then we'll also have the animation stuff here as well. So var current animation, we don't actually need it. We just need next animation, right? Because if we need to check our current animation, we can just check the animation player directly. Yeah. So the animations, idle. Let's do onReady var anim player. Animation player, there we go. So move to position. You'll have a velocity, should move. Yeah, we can do that as well. Should move some sort of Boolean. So we'll do false as the initial value. Velocity, I guess we can have a velocity. I don't remember what I'm using the velocity for though. Hopefully I can remember, or we'll just take it out. Not too bad. Thank you, work phone, for pinging me. What do you want? My statement is available. I've already paid my statement. Huzzah. NVIDIA. Not gonna say any of my work emails out loud. But I could. And that would get me into a lot of trouble. Let's see. Oh my god. Who is this? Messaged me on chat while I was away at 9:15 p.m. Why? There's no reason. Oh. What? Who is this? I've been granted another retainer. That's neat. Alright, thank you, work phone, for pinging me. I've been granted another retainer at work. How nice. They're making it really hard for me to leave. What a pain. It's hard being this popular, am I right? I guess that's not necessarily entirely true, though. Let's see, move and slide. We'll do all of that. Then base player unit will have access to all of the superclass functions, which is okay. Base player unit. This is the unit still. We can give it an array and a collision shape. For now, we'll make it, I guess, just of size 3. That's okay. Right, so this is your detection area. I will probably whenever I start making more units, I'll take out the, I guess, this actually sphere shape, so I can customize it per unit. Because when they use the same collision shape, you cannot modify it. Otherwise, it modifies it for all units, which is kind of a pain. It makes sense, you know, they're all a reference to a single resource. So when you modify the single resource, it updates for everyone. So on ready, on var, detection sphere, some sort of area, call it detection area. Yeah, there we go. Then my old code actually uses my old Rust GD native module to handle detection. But we're not doing that. App manager. So there's a player group, and then there's the enemy group. Call this enemies. Yeah, so detection group. Nope. Detection group is equal to app manager enemies. Enemy group. And then we'll also do the, you know, the setup, whatever this is, with the detection sphere. And actually, we can just pass in it like this. No need to cache the value. Beautiful. And then, is time stopped, physics process, FSM, finite state machine, run machine. I think I already have a finite state machine written somewhere. Hold on. So I can just reuse that. We go to dev. Do I have my Godot snippets? I do. FSM. Are these the new ones or the old ones? No, these are the old ones. These are the really old ones, huh? So these FSM states are still nodes. I thought I rewrote these to be like entirely reference based, but that's okay. I think I'm gonna avoid using an FSM anyways. I don't need that. FSMs are for nerds. So float doesn't do anything just yet. And the problem of doing things in FSM is it also makes it hard to, I guess, follow the logic, right? Whereas if you have everything in the same file, you know, all you gotta do is scroll up and down. our, I guess, current state, right? I'll think about this later. You know what? I'm over time. I'm tired. I'm tired. I feel really tired today. I don't know why. But yeah, I think I'm going to call it a day for today. I usually go until 11s on Tuesdays, but because I'm just not having a lot of fun. Maybe I'll feel more inspired tomorrow. But this does fit my pre-stated schedule, so don't feel bad about ending it here. Let me just throw all of this into a Git repository, and then we can start doing the entire outro stuff. New repository name. This will be deployment. Gotcha. Private repository. Then we'll hide it. This is mine. Thank you for the stream. Oh, no problem. No problem, Karina. Thank you very much. I did check. Oh. Thank you very much for the star. It's a dream come true. Let's see. Git remote add origin. Where is my insert key on this keyboard? I believe it's this button. Heck yeah. Git status. Git add all. Git ignore. So we're good. Git commits. Init. And then since this is not supposed to be a public branch, we'll just rename it the Senpai. Because we're just a huge weeb. Git push u origin Senpai. Yeah. To be honest, I've only used the graphical Git UI once. And then after that, I don't know. I've just been forced to use Git bash for everything else. Git bash or just actual Git in bash. So therefore, I just feel more comfortable doing it this way. Who needs graphical UIs? But yeah, you know, if you're not already, give the stream a follow. I have a Discord. Commit to Senpai. Exactly. Notice me, Senpai. Squash me, Senpai. Yeah. Channel follow. I have a Discord. You can type !, Discord in the chat for the bot to just give you the Discord channel. Pretty much everything I'm running right now is free and open source, like this. So if you're a streamer, or you're just interested in just hooking up Godot to whatever. So actually, if you are writing a Godot game, this could be kind of cool, right? So you can do like a Slay the Spire-esque like chat hookup, since this does just allow you to connect to Twitch IRC chat. This program is also free and open source under the name OpenCPHGD, available on my GitHub profile. Do need to work on a 0.7.1 release. The current release is just 7.0, but there are a lot of bug fixes, some feature improvements. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. I will be live tomorrow from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern Time, working on something. Not sure. We'll see what I'm feeling like. Anyways, take it easy. Goodbye. Where's my button? All right, now I'm going goodbye. Goodbye.